everyone, myself Swati Jeevan Kokate from Nagesh Karizgi Orchid School. Last two lectures we have seen history lesson number 3, that is the Delhi Sultans, and in the last lecture we were discussing about the taxes which were collected. Which 3 taxes were collected? We are going to see it. That is first one on cultivation, and that was called Kharaj, which was about 50% of the peasants produced. I have explained you, they were taking 50 of the production whatever was produced. Also on cattle, whatever cattle they were having and they earned the income from that also the sultans were collecting revenue, and on houses where these people lived, on that also they were collecting the taxes. So now we are going to see that it is important to remember large part of the subcontinent remained outside the control of Delhi Sultans. We saw that it was increasing, the day by day the Delhi Sultanate was increasing, and we have seen that it was not under the control, means they were feeling difficult to control all the distant provinces which were in Bengal, and from Delhi it was very difficult to rule. And soon after annexing southern India, the entire region became independent. Even in the Gangetic plain, that Sultan forces could not penetrate, they were unable to survive there. Local chieftains established their rules in these regions. So local chieftains, they told that we are going to have our own rule here, and they were not going to follow others, that is their rules and regulations. Sometimes these rulers like Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Taghlaq would force their control in these areas, but only for a short duration. So what happened? These rulers, they were forcing to adopt their policies, okay, or their control. They were, means they were holding, their wish was to hold on this, but for a short period, because it was very difficult from there to have a look on these all things. So here what is given in this box is that Ibn Battuta, he was a 14th century traveller, and he travelled from Morocco, that is Africa, and explained the achievements sometimes. So how there were fortified all these people, okay, they went in mountains, in rocky hills, and even rugged places, as well as in bamboo groves. Means these people, when they came destroying all the things, they were forcing these people to adopt their rules and regulations. These people, what they did, they used to fortify themselves. They used to go and fortify, means they did not come out from those places like bamboo grooves and all. Like, means we can say that they had got shelter in jungles and all, okay. Then in India it is told that the bamboos are hollow, not hollow, means they are not small, they are big, tall and tall. So in several places, parts, it was so intertwined that even fire cannot affect them, and they are on the whole very strong. The chieftains' life in these forests which were served them as ramparts, inside which they were having cattle and also their crops. So what they did, ramparts means what? Walls, or we can say banks, boundaries they made, and inside they used to have their crops as well as their animals. So for food and all, they did not have to come outside. Even in the wells they used to have their water also. So these all things which are necessary for the life, means for the living of human or animals, they were getting everything inside, and they did not have to come out for a long period. So we have seen this, and now we are going to see one more, that here Mongols under Genghis Khan invaded Transylvania in northeast. So what it is now? Now one more challenge was that this one captured. What is Transoxiana? An ancient portion of Central Asia, the region between Amu Darya and Sir Darya rivers. What it is? So this one, Transoxiana, is a place, okay, of Central Asia and the region between Amu Darya and Sir Darya rivers. These are the names of rivers in the northeast Iran in 2019, and the Delhi Sultanate faced their onslaught soon after. What is onslaught? Means destructive attack, means everything was destroyed here. Then Mongols attack on Delhi Sultanate increased during the rule of Alauddin Khalji. When there was Alauddin Khalji's rule in Delhi and all, when he was having, there was always attacks many times of these Mongols, okay. And in the early years of Muhammad Tughlaq's rule also. So there in these two rules there were often attacks. This forced the two rulers to mobilize a large standing army in Delhi, which posed a huge administration challenge. So these two people, they had to face too much challenges, administrative changes. They had to mobilize, means from one place to another, their army they have to transfer from one place to another. So now how these two people, how they administered, we are going to see in this table. This first one is Alauddin Khalji and the second one is Muhammad Tughlaq's, okay. Now in this table I would like to explain the characteristics of Khalji's administration here, okay. Khalji's and Alauddin Khalji's and Muhammad Tughlaq's. What was the difference, and or what were the similar points as well as what were the difference. Both the things we are going to discuss here. Alauddin Khalji raised a large standing army, and to feed the soldiers, 50% of the peasants' field was fixed as tax. Means to feed the army or the soldiers he had, okay. You know, these kings, they need soldiers, but who will give them food and all the necessaries things they want? The king will provide, isn't it? These rulers will provide. Then how did he provide? From where did he took all these things? What he did, he collected 50% of the peasants' field. I told na that they were collecting, if 100 sacks of jowar was produced, these rulers used to take 50 sacks as their tax, and it was fixed. So like this he used to collect the food required for his soldiers. Also prices of goods in Delhi was fixed and controlled by the king. So prices of the goods, whenever there is war and something na, the prices goes on increasing. Why? To fulfill the requirements, whatever more charges are to be required for the army, for anything else. So this always the taxes or the prices of goods goes on increasing. But here what this Alauddin Khalji did, he had a control on the prices, means the kings of the particular places, he had a control on the prices of goods. Soldiers could satisfy their daily needs by their salaries. So even people, whatever things or whatever money, whatever they had na, it was easy for them to take everything, whatever daily needs are there, to fulfill their needs in that salary. Alauddin successfully withstood the threat of Mughal invasion. So Alauddin, he was somewhat successful to face this Mughal attacks, okay. He also constructed a new garrison town called Siri. Now we are going to see what Muhammad Tughlaq's are the characteristics of his administration. Muhammad Tughlaq raised a strong large army. He also raised, okay, a strong large standing army. He established a new capital of Daulatabad in the south. So one more new capital was established by him at Daulatabad in the south. To maintain large armies, he levied more additional taxes. Here what he did, Khalji, the taxes were fixed. He did not increase the rates of taxes, but here this one Tughlaq, he levied additional taxes. He introduced token currency which made out a cheap metal, and this cheap currency could be imitated easily. Now here see what he did, Muhammad Tughlaq, he introduced new token currencies. Now in today's some shops also or some festivals also, where you go you get tokens, okay, and when you go and give that token of that much amount, you get the products, isn't it? So at that time he adopted this, and what he did, he used a cheap currency. Previous days currencies were of gold, silver, okay, the currencies themselves were having their value, but here Tughlaq, what he did, he created new currencies of cheap metal. So people did not believe in that, means they thought that they are false currencies or false coins, and also they can be imitated easily, means other people also can make it easily and cheat the other rulers or people also. All these administrative measures taken by Muhammad Tughlaq were a failure. So whose proper administration was there? We can see here Khalji's administration was little good in the as compared to Tughlaq's, we can say. So because of that now people did not believe in Muhammad Tughlaq's rule. They were telling that what these new coins he has introduced, they are false, and all this the people were started saying. Unlike Alauddin's defensive measure, Muhammad Tughlaq's measures were conceived as a part of military offensive action against the Mughals. So like we can say that what I have told, Alauddin Khalji's was more effective than Muhammad Tughlaq's characters of administration. Now just go through once again this table, you will understand what teacher has explained to you. Again we are going to see that the Sultanate in the 15th and 16th century. So you will notice that after the Tughlaq, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasties ruled from Delhi and Agra till 1526, as we have seen in table 1. Now who ruled during 15th and 16th century? It was Sayyid and Lodi's dynasties from Delhi and Agra and until 1526. By 1526, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and entire South India had independent rule, who established flourishing states and prosperous capitals. Okay, then what was the effect? Now many of these were having their independent rulers and they were having their states and a prosperous capital, means capitals like Delhi and all, how it is capital now, they were having their states and like they were having the good capital. Capital here means like what is the capital of Maharashtra or what is the capital of India, that capital here the means. This period saw the emergence of new ruling groups like the Afghans and Rajputs. So new again ruling groups had formed here, those were Afghans and Rajputs. And in 16th century, some small but powerful and extremely well administrated also emerged. Okay, now see here, understand it that new ruling groups were formed. Which were they? Afghans and Rajputs. And also extremely well administered states where the administration was going on very nicely, those administered states were also emerged, they came into existence. And which were they? Sher Shah Suri, and he was the most powerful among such states. Okay, here we are going to see Sher Shah Suri. He captured Delhi, or okay, what he did, how he was extremely powerful during this, we are going to see. Sher Shah Suri, he ruled during 1540 to 1545. He started his career, okay, as a manager of a small territory for his uncle in Bihar and eventually challenged and defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun. So, we are going to see what thing happened here during Sher Shah Suri's rule. He started his career as a manager of a small territory and he was working for his uncle and eventually challenged and defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun. So, it was a very big challenge he got and he also made it success, like he defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun. And when during 1530 to 1540, also during 1555 to 1556, this was the rule or this was the year when these things happened. So, it was very difficult to challenge and to defeat the Mughal Emperor Humayun itself. Then Sher Shah, although Sher Shah captured Delhi and established his own dynasty. So, now he was a very small or he ruled in a small territory as a manager, but now he has established his own dynasty. Although the Sur dynasty ruled for only 15 years, okay, this one he captured, he invaded and okay, he defeated this Mughal Emperor Humayun. Then too means he ruled only for 15 years. It introduced an administration that borrowed elements from Alauddin Khalji. So, what here it means that this Sher Shah Suri, from what things he got all these ideas of administration or which things he accepted the administrative policies and all of Alauddin Khalji, fine. So, in this 15 years also, even if the time period was very less, he did or captured and got more things in this administration. It introduced an administration that borrowed elements from Alauddin Khalji, what I told you now, and made them more efficient. So, this rule was more efficient. Sher Shah's administration became the model followed by great Emperor Akbar in 1556 to 1605. Fine. What they want to tell here is that his administration became means Sher Shah again after like how he followed the administrative rules, okay, and policies of Alauddin Khalji, he was more successful even though he ruled for 15 years. Then Sher Shah's administration became the model followed by the great emperor, that is Akbar, and when he was the ruler, he ruled during 1556 to 1605 when he consolidated the Mughal Empire. So, here we can see that Akbar, and when he did consolidate the Mughal Empire. So, here we can say that how these rulers, okay, how they how they rule or what were the things, again we are going to see. So, in this lesson we have seen children that how the Delhi became an important city during 12th century, fine, and who were the important rulers of Delhi and all. So, let us have a again look on this. Here we come to this end of the lesson. As the lesson is very big, let us have a quick review on all the things we have seen here. This was first, in this lecture we have seen the chieftains and the fortifications. Just read the lesson because all the names of the rulers and all the years you may not remember in one lecture or one reading. So, read only one page daily, but you have to read the words as well as write the names of the kings or the rulers, and also see more pictures what these figures are saying, go through the maps and all. So, let us see now in this how the things were going on, okay, like Delhi Sultans. Like first things we had gone through the this table, okay, fine. We were seeing this table that how the kings were there, and till how in this table 1 we have studied which dynasties were there and to which year, up to which year they were ruling, fine. And what you do, just take a picture of it and you can stick it, or just write, make one chart and you can stick it in your room, from where it will be easy to remember. So, finding out about the Delhi Sultans. Here we had seen that how the inscriptions, coins helped the historians to make their things easy, from where they would find out and write the things, sort out or write down in the books of history, and we are going to study it. How there were learned men and secretaries and all, they used to recount events and they used to write all the things here. How these coins or these papers were made and melted, written in text, also they were highlighted through with gold, and then were gold polish or something melting that they were polished, and after that the papers were binded like we have our books. And here in circle of justice, okay, we have seen that if the kings cannot survive, we have seen that the king is dependent upon soldiers. He himself cannot run the administration, also he cannot go alone for a fight. He has to depend on soldiers, and soldiers, they want salaries. Salaries come from where does the salary come? From the revenues collected from the peasants, but peasants can pay revenue only if the farmers are getting good crop, good yield. So, he should be prosperous. Then this happens when the king promotes justice and honest to governance. Here we have seen this is the circle of justice. Then we have seen the birthright and the gender distinction. In this we had seen that how the means the people believed that the noble inherited their rights of govern, because the child means it was inheritatory, like they became the born one, like chieftain's family, means the king's son will become king, isn't it? Now here gender distinction, in this we saw that the Razia Sultan, she was a queen for 4 years, and these people, they did not want a woman to be a ruler of them, and she was removed from the throne. Here the same thing what Minaji Siraj thought about Razia, the queen, he has wrote that, means this was not accepted by all the other rulers also. Here from garrison town to empire, we have seen how this from garrison town to empire, how there was expansion of the Delhi Sultanate from hinterland to garrison town, okay. And what does it mean also, we have seen. The same thing is here in this. Now we are going to see, we have seen figures like of different masjids and what was the meaning of it. Qibla and all we have seen, okay. Sermon like khutbah it is called, like pravachan we say, isn't it? Qibla also we have seen. Just go through these pictures also and read the things. Then we have seen the administration and consolidation of Khaljis and Tughlaq's rule, isn't it? We had seen that how there was a closer administration, or how what was the difference and what was the similar points also. We have seen it, the consolidation of kingdoms as vast, as well as the Delhi Sultanates needed reliable governors, okay. Then instead of giving the powers or the what we call administration in the hands of their children or their son, what they followed, they favored their special slaves, which were purchased for military service. and these were called bandgan, isn't it, in Persian language. So these bandgans are the slaves, and they, what they did, they trained the people. Okay, first they might be not knowing all the things from the administration. So what they did, they very carefully trained those people, and the most important political, they appointed these people on the most important political offices in this kingdom. So they were totally dependent on the masters or the sultans. That's what we have seen here, that they were dependent, and these slaves rather than sons, instead of their sons, the slaves were given the opportunities or given the rights to do all these things. Also we have seen what was client, someone who is under the protection of another, okay, or dependent on the dependent person on it. So we have seen how it was introduced in element of political instability. When there was instability, how these clients were their slaves, they were loyal to the masters, okay. And also we have seen this, who were the officials of Sultan Muhammad Tughlaq at that time. Like we have seen, these names are not so important, but like a wine distiller, barber, or a cook, also gardeners, okay, these were given high administrative post, and this was not more accepted by other rulers. Like the early sultans here, same things we are discussed here, what is mukti and how they had collected the taxes. Then how this in Samantas means the Delhi sultans, they forced and they had a control, their own control over other Samantas and all, okay. Instead of this, first these Samantas were collecting the taxes, and they were having their rules and regulations in their areas, but when this rule of Delhi sultans came, they had no rights and in their hands, and they had to work under this Delhi sultans. Also these Samantas again had to pay the taxes to this Delhi sultans. We had seen all these three taxes collected, that is kharaj, and also on cattle and houses. Then we have seen the chieftains and their fortifications, how they went in the forts and how they fortified themselves, okay, and saved themselves from these Mongols, and how these Mongols also they invaded or they captured this area, and Sultanate faced there, means it was all or destroyed by these people. Then we have seen the difference or also similar points, how what were the features of Alauddin Khalji's rule and also Muhammad Tughlaq's rule. Go through this table, children, you will understand, read it twice at least. Then we have seen the Sultanate in the 15th and 16th century, isn't it? What were the changes? How these all things came into existence, how this Sher Shah Suri, he became more powerful, and also he means after him even great Emperor Akbar, he consolidated the Mughal and followed all the administrative rules and regulations given by him. So we will end this lesson here, children. Hope so. This lesson was little big. We go through the lesson and also read the names and the years of that rulers. Thank you.